I don't know what 2019 is going to be the year of. It could be the year of Nashville-style hot fried chicken.
I could see that happening.
Right?
Yeah.
I feel like people were super excited about Portillos coming in. Portillos?
Portillos.
Good Lord. Portillos. Maybe we'll see another hot dog resurgence? I don't know. I mean, I don't know what it could be the year of.
Yeah. It remains to be seen. 2018 didn't really offer a lot of clues for what I think 2019 is going to do.
And that hasn't
been... We're
off
off the map.
Yeah, we're off the map.
Yeah.
Hello. Welcome to The Corner Table, a podcast about food and drink in Madison, Wisconsin, produced by the Capital Times. I am your host, Cap Times food editor, Lindsay Christians. This week I'm wearing my restaurant critic hat as we look back on the year in restaurant openings, trends, and our most memorable meals. I've got my friend Kyle Nabilcy in the studio. Kyle, as you may remember, is a restaurant critic and also a beer writer for Isthmus. This year he was also part of the City of Madison's food cart reviewer team. He visited dozens of food carts on the Capitol Square and Library Mall, and he has a few new favorites to share. I'm going to do my best to get the list of the restaurants we talk about today up online for you in one spot, but when in doubt, check out madison.com for daily food coverage, including this week's roundup of tater tot dishes by Chris Lay and a review of the new restaurant Nook on Atwood. Here's Kyle. Hello, Kyle. Welcome.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for being in here today. This is great.
Yeah, good to see you.
It's always interesting when we go back and we look at the year in food. I feel like the things that I remember are like the highs and the lows, but there's always a bunch of meh in there too.
Strong middle in 2018.
Strong middle. And I think started strong in terms of the restaurant scene and then kind of went, ew.
It just calmed down. It wasn't, the sort of the roller coaster sound effect sort of implies a lackluster quality or something negative.
Yeah,
and I don't know if it was necessarily that, although it wasn't a standout year, I don't think.
Yeah, no.
But it was okay. Everything in the middle was fine.
I feel like, so we had kind of a restaurant boom, a few years ago. It was booming. And now I feel like all the time I'm hearing about I'm seeing Greenbush post we can't offer our full menu because we haven't been able to hire enough people to work. Yeah. Or as soon as we can staff up, we'll be opening for this and that. And it's the staffing issue, I think, is maybe starting to have a chilling effect, if not necessarily on the number of restaurants opening, but maybe the hours that they're open.
Yeah, the scale.
Yeah, the scale.
Yeah. Just looking back over the year of reviews from Isthmus, it seems like it's a lot of smaller, lower profile, kind of hole in the wall locations anyway, family operated, where you don't necessarily have to rely on a lot of hiring. If you've got a mom and dad and some kids or cousins or whatever, that you can kind of run the shop that way and not have a big footprint, so not have a lot of tables, a lot of seats turnover. I feel like that's sort of the management of expectations resultant from how hard it's been to keep restaurants staffed.
Well, I just was interviewing one of the people who's going to be opening the Harvey House in the former Bandit space.
Sure.
Well, would have been Bandit space,
Erstwhile.
I guess. Yeah, in the depot. And I said, are you concerned about staffing? And she said, everyone's saying that. Everyone's asking, are we concerned about staffing? And I was like, because it's a thing.
Well, are you?
Yeah. And, she's like, we're going to pay people well, and we know that there's a lot of smart and wonderful folks here, and we're hopeful. We want to do this. But I think the other way of going is the Nook way,
sure,
which is you have the two people who run it and two staff helping serve, and that's it.
Right.
And it's super small. So ways of, directions of going with that. Or, with Sujo's redesign, that counter service fast casual thing, you don't need as many people.
Right. And they don't necessarily have to be as super ultra literate on the menu because they can just kind of plug in the orders and then you kind of take and get out of there.
So, okay, let's take a look at 2018 in food. We started out pretty strong. We both reviewed Mint Mark right after the beginning of the year.
Heart eyes emoji on that one. Everything about Mint Mark is great.
I am there so much.
Yeah.
I was there last night.
Yeah.
And I saw a friend.
Wonderful. Yeah.
I saw my friend Ben, who was there with some coworkers. He's like, this is the first time I've been to this place. It's really great. And I was like, yeah, they've taken all my money.
Nice. Yeah, no, it's true. It's true. Great late night service. They've done fun beer stuff. in addition to having a good cocktail program. So it's a very tidy tap list, as I like to call them, but it's curated in a good way, in a smart way.
One of the things that I love about it, so they had the little, what is it, Atari characters on the floor.
Yep, Space Invaders,
and the bathrooms are pool and pond, and there's this gorgeous mural now of Anthony Bourdain, who he lost this year.
Yeah.
And it is such a beautiful, beautiful mural.
Yeah, definitely.
I believe the same woman who did that mural also did the new mural at Suzhou, actually.
Okay.
But just incredible artists we have in Madison.
Yeah.
We're very lucky. But yeah, I've been spending a lot of time and money at Mint Mark. And sometimes I'll go occasionally I'll go during the day, and it's a great place to work, like a coffee shop kind of.
Yeah, good light.
Which is nice. Another place that I fell in love with early in the year was Athens Grill in Waunakee.
Okay.
And Athens is not close to stuff if you live in the city.
Right.
But I actually, after the first of the year, sometimes if I'd be working on a major story or something really long, they have Wi-Fi. I'm fairly sure they have Wi-Fi. They have tables and tons of light, and I would just go and get a gyro or a chicken pita and sit there, and it was just the food is so much better than you ever expect. Right. And it's such a lovely kind of space. And it looks like a fast casual Greek American place.
Sure.
And it is wonderful.
Nice.
Yeah, I really, really like it.
Yeah. The similar experience for me in terms of wow, this is quite a room. It was Bierock.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. It's spare. It's not particularly decorated or anything like that. There's not a whole lot of born-in character in the room, but I think the first time I went there was a Brewers game on, maybe. I've been there during a Packer game, which was kind of unintentional. It's the perfect space for that kind of thing. Everyone kind of hangs out. They sort of reorient all the tables in the middle, so everyone's kind of turning and facing. It's kind of like this little auditorium kind of redesign, as everyone sort of squeaks their chairs to face the little projector screen they have. A big tap list. And then the namesake food is, it is a Hot Pocket, basically. But it's
I love the
prettier.
idea of doing a Hot Pocket restaurant.
Yeah. It's got this great sort of bronzy, smooth surface. It doesn't look like something that just came out of a microwave, sleeve. It doesn't taste like that either. They manage expectations, and it was actually more than I expected because I thought they were little tiny spherical things, bigger than a donut hole, but just about. And then have it come out and be bigger than roughly a bar of soap, or bigger than your iPhone. I was pleasantly surprised by that. And then they do some cool stuff with the fillings, and I think actually the less classic, more sort of culinarily experimental recipes like the tofu and kimchi were actually some of the better ones. I liked them more than say just the sausage one.
See, that's a vote. That's a vote for experimentation right there,
yeah.
Right? It's very Polish dough wrapped around meat.
Yeah.
And who doesn't love that, right?
Right. It appeals to all core cravings.
One of my favorite pocket foods, I guess, this year, if you want to call it a pocket food, was I went to the Caracas arepas cart,
mm-hmm.
and I discovered just this, and arepas are interesting because I feel usually if I want 1.5.
Right.
But you got to get 2.
Yeah.
And then you can get 2 different kinds. And I really love the Reina Pepiada, which is a chicken salad. And it was named for a beauty queen. And so it's, it's this queen chicken salad. And
yeah.
I really liked it. I love the avocado, and I loved the sauce. They have a lot of salsas and sauces that they do. And yeah. I
had a very sort of rich, it was very autumn food, frankly. I think it was a beef short rib, something had red wine. It was very rich, very flavorful, very, dark flavors, roasty kind of flavors. But it was great. It was this perfect little steaming hot. Again, I put the words hot and pocket together and I didn't mean to, but but yeah, they're the right size to walk around and eat. They put them in this cute little French fry bag, which was just great.
I was surprised, too, at how much I enjoyed Camp Trippalindee. It's on the top of a hotel.
Right.
And, it's kitschy, super kitschy.
Yes.
And I thought, my goodness, I really like this. I liked the chicken sandwich. I liked, the stupid little s'mores things that they were putting out. I thought they were fun and funny. It really did kind of feel we're up north in Wisconsin, and I kind of get the shtick. It works.
Well, they completely nailed the decor. That's the thing. Is it doesn't feel decorated, it feels like the place that they're trying to emulate. You know, it's a very savvy simulation of that kind of thing. And yeah, and they won the Madison Burger Week thing for their
That's
burger
awesome.
special. That was like a ramp mayo or something like that. And they kept it on the menu for a little while after.
Shanna Pacifico, she's like killing it.
Yeah.
It's pretty great.
And I mean, you can't beat the views either. It's just it's a very cool spot to hang
Views are so
out
cool.
outside.
So this fall, you did the food cart roundup, the review?
Yeah, the judging.
Okay, so
Yeah.
first of all, tell me, what did you have to do?
So you've got to hit a minimum of the 50-something carts. You have to hit a minimum of, I think, 80%
Wow.
for your scores to count. They made some headlines a couple of years ago. Some of the vendors were not thrilled with the math and the transparency and the bureaucracy of the food cart scoring.
Yeah, I thought the criticism seemed pretty reasonable.
It was, and by virtue, evidenced by the fact that they changed a lot of things.
Yeah,
And they codified things a little bit more. I think they put more math into creating the formula and ensuring that all of the people who are on this judging panel, and there's a couple of dozen, experienced enough of the lineup of the downtown and library mall carts to have an informed opinion. They went out of their way to recruit from a lot of different areas geographically and professionally to make sure that they had a lot of voices, different voices. But ultimately, whether you were like me, someone who eats a lot of food and writes about food and thinks about food, or whether you're someone who just works downtown and eats lunch like a normal human being, by virtue of going through the whole process and experiencing that minimum 80%, everyone kind of ultimately came away with more or less the same baseline level of experience with these specific carts, so they could offer more or less an informed opinion.
Did you have to get a certain number of things at each cart?
Well, I mean, you basically want to eat like as if you were a customer. That was kind of the rule. So you could just walk up, and this is the thing, as someone who reviews restaurants and does so without notice or trumpeting my presence, you literally have a name badge.
Okay.
That you show them and say, "Hi, I'm a food judge. I'm a food cart critic. Mark me off of your list," because the vendors all have a list too, so that they can keep track of who came and who didn't. And then that all kind of filters back and forth between the city and the vendors. So, but yeah, it was very bizarre. So you were encouraged to basically eat as if you were a paying customer. You're not like ordering a buffet,
right?
And then
exactly.
taking it over to the bench on Library Mall and just like laying out like a Greek god.
This is kind of what I imagined. So
the cumulative effect is very Greek
okay.
god. I mean, I bought a package of leftover containers, little Tupperware containers.
Oh, super smart.
Brought them with me every time. I had my little tote bag full of empty containers and some painter's tape to slap on the top to write down what I ordered and where and when. And I'd eat a couple of bites fresh.
Methods. I love it.
That's another rule, is you got to eat it fresh. Because they know that not everyone necessarily lives around there or works around there. So if you take it to go, that's fine, but you got to at least experience some of it the way it was intended by the vendor. So another sort of insurance that everyone's having a good culinary experience as opposed to just a functional eating lunch experience.
I wonder, did you try to think a little bit about, what is the customer experience and how easy is it in terms of, getting this food back up to my office or whatever? Yeah.
Yeah. That all goes into the scoring metric, is how it's packaged, how much the packaging suits the food you're trying to eat out of the packaging. Again, the French fry bag comes in, it's perfect. It's exactly what you need. Other times, for example, I love Bonzo, and I frequently get takeout from the brick and mortar Bonzo, and I appreciate the engineering that went into the pita box.
The boxes, yeah.
But I don't find them particularly useful.
Oh, okay.
I typically take them out. If I take it home and eat it at home, I don't bother eating it out of there. And I didn't find it a whole lot more useful on the sidewalk, near the cart either. Whereas because there's two Bonzo carts, when I went to the other Bonzo cart, I just got a platter version, and it comes in just a styrofoam clamshell. And so unfortunately, yes, it's styrofoam, but it was a lot easier to eat.
Did you come out of your sort of reviewing month, right?
Yeah, it's 4 weeks.
With new favorites, things that will be go-tos for you now in the future?
Yeah, I really liked the two sort of fried rice, teriyaki hibachi kind of things. Teriyaki Samurai and Hibachi Hut, which may or may not be related. Frankly, I didn't really look into it, but their menus are very similar. Maybe. Regardless, they both were really enjoyable, deep sort of wok hay, that really great sort of smoky flavor in the fried rice. They were just really, really fun. I really liked Brazen Hussies.
Oh, I've never had Brazen Hussies.
Yeah, I'm still scratching my head on the logic behind the name because it's a dude who runs it, and you just kind of get brazing. I feel like the hussy thing implies that it's owned by women who are kind of sort of embracing the slang, and it's not. And the dude seems very cool. It's not like it's a weird in that respect, but I just don't get the logic of the name.
I always assumed it was run by women, that it was like Brazen Hussy,
Yeah, right. No, it feels like it'd be a great pun for a woman-owned business.
Like Curd Girl is run by women.
Right.
That's interesting. I didn't know that.
So like Brazen Hell,
oh,
maybe?
That would have been fun.
It doesn't imply a gender, behind the stove. But whatever. The food is good. Taquitos Marimar, exceptionally fresh and like crisp vegetables. The tostada was crunchy. Like the chicken on it was not super complicated, but it was, just above that sort of Nesco roaster kind of, style of slow cooked chicken. It had a little more texture to it than that. It wasn't just goo. Just like the sauces, the guacamole, everything was terrific on those. And like I wanted to eat them all the moment they landed, in my hands. And I had to stop myself because this is the thing. You have to go to so many different places. You're basically averaging almost 2 a day.
And you want to give everybody a fair shake. That's the thing. It's sort of like I was interviewing a wine importer once, and I said, how do you, if you're tasting something at like 9 in the morning and you're jet lagged and you're in Germany and whatever, like how do you make sure to give that wine the kind of care and consideration and like a good shot at getting a good rating or whatever? And he said, if I feel like I need to taste it again later, if I feel like I wasn't really sure, I can go back to it. And I feel like the way that this process works, maybe you can go back to it, but not necessarily. Like if you were like, well, that wasn't that great, but that's what it was, How many reviewers are there?
There was something like close to 30.
Okay.
Yeah.
So a pretty big group.
Yeah. One thing I didn't see a ton of yet, although a couple places I think the new Taverna cart had it, poke. It's like the one place that doesn't have poke yet is the food cart scene. Like I can't believe there isn't a dedicated poke food cart yet.
You would think.
Yeah.
You would absolutely think. Oh my gosh. So
are we at a half dozen now?
Oh my God, I think we are. I think we might be at a half dozen.
It's a lot of poke in town.
It's a lot of poke. Well, we had ramen and then we had tacos and now we've got poke. And I have to say, I am here for the poke trend. I am here for it. I have some moral quandaries around the sustainability of eating farmed salmon in Wisconsin. Like that doesn't make me feel awesome. Yeah. And, I do have questions about like where the shrimp is coming from, stuff like that. But I really like poke.
Yeah,
I liked fresh fin just fine. I went to write about fresh fin and I've been back since then. I think, it's a bowl of rice and fish and vegetables and
crunch.
Yes, and crunchy stuff.
Yeah. I love sushi, but for two very similar sort of flavor profiles and eating experiences, there are days where like I might prefer poke just because I can ensure I will have textural variation. Mm-hmm. And there's just nothing like the little fried shallot bits or the breadcrumbs, whatever it is. I love it.
Fried shallots, fried garlic, just like
sesame
little
seeds.
bits of oh gosh, it's so great. And like different kinds of crunch too, like things that are pickled.
Yeah.
And I love that. I did do some reading because of the nerd that I am around these things sometimes about like cultural appropriation in poke. And like I learned, for example, that the P-O-K-E with the accent is like not a word.
Correct.
And I didn't know that. And some places are like P-O-K-E, with the accent because they want Americans not to say poke.
Right.
But in the original language, it's just poke, right? Mm-hmm. And so that was something that I learned this year just through writing about more than one poke place. And just thinking about mainland poke versus Hawaiian.
Sure.
Because they're both, American.
Yeah.
But it's sort of like what you see sometimes in ramen places or you see in where something gets translated.
Yeah.
And I don't necessarily think it's a bad thing. I just think it's maybe a different thing.
There wasn't a cabal of, fishmongers who are like, you know what? Once this trend gets to, the lower 48, we're going to mess with it. And we're going to really irritate Hawaii. It's just one of those things that happens organically. Cultures move around, ideas move around, and people move around. And they have different things at their disposal, different amounts of time at their disposal, different tastes around which they're working and to whom they're serving. I don't see it as an ultimate negative if something changes, because, calling something a bastardization, for example, is just like the flip coin of saying that something has adapted.
Yeah.
What are you going to do? It wasn't done maliciously. I don't think it's being done maliciously. And, you get more literacy as it goes on. Mika Poke took away the accent mark after a little while. They no longer have the accent mark on their actual official name.
I asked them about that. I said, why did you do that? And Caitlin said that people got it. She's like, we wanted people to be able to say it the right way and all that stuff, and people figured it out, and so we took it away. It's
easier than an asterisk and a footnote.
Yes, it is. But to me, it's like part of the bowl trend. You know, stuff in bowls. And I like it. I like it just fine.
I'll eat poke over an acai grain bowl any day of the week.
Oh, my goodness. Yes. I wonder if we're starting to come off the gluten-free trend, because there were so many bakeries this year. We wrote about Origins Bakery, which is over on the east side. He sells at farmers markets, and his bread is at the Heights as well.
Sure.
And I love his bread. Kirksmock. Just amazing bread. And then we wrote about Petrushka, which is doing, I think they're just Eastern European treats and sweets,
right,
which is fun. She's at farmers markets too. We wrote about Buttercream, which I think was up in Lodi. We wrote about just a lot of new bakeries opening up, and I thought that was kind of interesting. And I thought maybe we're not afraid of gluten anymore. Maybe we still are, though, because the new Angry Rooster that's out of Tin Fox is doing
fascinatingly
gluten-free.
Yeah, completely.
Fried chicken.
Yeah, a fried chicken application with gluten-free flour. I'm all for trying it.
Yeah, me too.
Because if it results in a really sort of shattering exterior shell, great.
Yeah.
I want that.
My friend was saying that she thought that the crossover between people who want gluten-free fried chicken and people who want really spicy fried chicken is maybe like a small part of a Venn diagram drawn properly. But I wonder if people who want really spicy fried chicken won't care that it's gluten-free. They'll just be like, I want spicy fried chicken. Or this is just good fried chicken.
Right. I don't think people are necessarily strident about the components of the batter,
right,
as much as they are the chicken and the sauce. The batter is very much a delivery mechanism.
Exactly.
Or a wrapper. So
you were mentioning Bierock earlier, where they have kind of like the cinematic, they arrange it so that you can all watch the game together.
Right.
You also went to Flix Brewhouse.
Indeed, yeah.
I have not been to Flix Brewhouse. I have very many doubts and questions about the model because, again, I would worry that, I'd be distracted by the food. But what I've heard is that it's not bad, in terms of the eating.
The food is pretty decent. The beer is, I'd say, a step above pretty decent. It's beer that I have no problem ordering, and sometimes I'm actually into it, as opposed to other places where you're like, oh, okay, I'll drink the closest thing to a good beer that I can get here. The beers there are actually pretty good. I'm definitely very self-conscious about making eating noises myself to the people around me, and I feel like it's better than you'd think. But it all comes down to who's your neighbor. But to be fair, that's true in any theater experience because popcorn can be noisy with the wrong person eating it. Nachos can be that's the one thing that keeps me and my wife out of a lot of movie theaters is oh God, this place has nachos, right? And people are going to be eating them in the theater, and they're going to be crinkling and crunching, and
I don't see why nachos are necessary for a theater experience.
It's great in a ballpark where everyone's shouting and there's a lot of noise, you don't hear anything. But man, when you're in a quiet room, food gets loud fast.
Yeah.
Because not all of the food is super tidy at Flix, so you do occasionally have drippy things or spilly things, or a burger and something falls out, or a wrap and something falls out, or whatever. And you want to sort of know where you're at with your food, but to do so kind of requires you to look down a little bit from the screen, and I get antsy about missing something. It could just be because I'm watching too many movies that rely on Easter eggs. I got to stop seeing Marvel Comics movies. But regardless, even if it's we went and saw Crazy Rich Asians there, and it's just everything about that movie you want to watch because it's just so visually engaging and it's a big spectacle of a movie. And then to have to look down to make sure you're actually hitting your little pile of ketchup with your French fry, you're missing that sort of line of sight that you have while eating at home. And so I get the response of, well, why can't I just eat and watch a movie at home? Why do I have to do it in the theater? I sort of get that.
For the end of this year, I think the thing that I was most excited about was probably the Heights.
Sure.
I really like the food that Allie Christian is doing there. The setup is so perfectly placed. It is so it's that near West, I mean, let's be honest, fairly white, moneyed neighborhood, but it seems to fit that place really well, just with the quality of food that they're doing, with the way that they're cooking it. I like immediately went home and like recreated the kale salad. I want to know what they do with their like they're doing like a brown rice bowl that has like a puffed like crunchy rice in there too, and like with pesto and squash a couple different ways and mushrooms. I mean, it's vegetarian food and you don't even notice. It's really beautiful.
Yeah.
And I think that simplicity can be harder to do than lots of extra noise.
Sure.
It's really lovely, and they open in the winter time, which is not an easy time to do like the local food thing.
Right.
So there's a lot of eggs, a lot of mushrooms.
Yeah, but it's sort of you get to merge at highway speed with a lot of really hearty vegetable, whether it is kale or squash or things like that, where you can really kind of beef it up a little bit.
Absolutely.
Without beefing it up a little bit.
Yeah. I really liked it.
I just went back for the first time in a really long time to North and South.
Nice.
And had the brisket, which I was very happy with because I've come to realize that even though I will almost always instinctively order a brisket sandwich the first time I've at a place that does barbecue, I'm almost always kind of disappointed with it. And I realize it's just because I've turned into a real like Central Texas a-hole about barbecue. And I just want it to be this simple salt and pepper rub on a brisket, and I want it to have a really pronounced bark, and I want everything to just kind of melt in the middle. So with that in mind, I'm really excited to get to beef butter. I
was just going to say, I can't wait to hear what you have to say about beef butter barbecue.
I have not yet been. Got a buddy on sort of the northwest side of town who's like, well, clearly the brisket is where the money is there. So that's the killer app, as he put it. So I'm very much looking forward to getting there, especially now that I have the bloodlust again. Now that I've just recently had that very excellent brisket at North and South.
Ooh, yes.
Yeah.
I'm really looking forward to that. Are there other things that you're looking forward to in 2019?
2018 was a weird year for like the restaurant scene and for me. So I feel like I have to kind of rejoin the crowd to a certain extent and start, getting into some of the offbeat things that, that aren't necessarily reviewable restaurants, like the bakeries, for example. Things like that. I really gotta get into those.
I'm really curious about Kingdom, African cuisine, African fusion coming into the north side too.
Right.
Rob is going to be writing about Freakies, that place behind the IHOP. Which he saw that and he was like, ooh, me, I want that. And I was like, you can have it. That's fine. He's like, it's a guy who does like a horror movie.
A horror host, yeah. Yeah. I grew up in the Fox River Valley. We had Ned the Dead.
Oh my gosh, I love it.
Late night horror hosts are definitely a thing, certainly in the Midwest. Yeah, so like that definitely intrigued me too.
I'm really looking forward to seeing what happens with the new Tipsy Cow in Sun Prairie.
Oh my God.
Finally opening
Actually, I think it's today. It is today. Yeah.
Opening today, the day that we're recording, not the day you're hearing this, but
it's already open.
It's already open.
Go.
So that's one of my husband Patrick's go-to places. He just loves the Tipsy Cow. So it's just really nice for them to be able to have that. They've got some cool stuff happening out in Sun Prairie after the fire.
Right. Yeah.
Which I think is good and like just good to hear. So
yeah. Speaking of Sun Prairie too, the Wright Bauer just recently opened. Brew pub kind of model. And I've only been once, and I think I was there before they had, I think, their full beer lineup available for their own beers. But then also, is it Full Mile?
Yes.
I believe, also in Sun Prairie.
Full Mile. Absolutely right.
Looking forward to they just had a soft opening. And I'm looking forward to getting over there and checking that out too.
I was seeing something about Delta Beer Lab.
Yeah, that's going to be interesting. Like that. Once you start getting into really like strictly formatted kind of themes, I'm curious how long lasting that'll be. But
absolutely,
I guess places like Mobcraft have made it work for a while now. So
I wonder if we're going to see I don't know what 2019 is going to be the year of. It could be the year of Nashville-style hot fried chicken.
I could see that happening.
Right?
Yeah.
I feel like people were super excited about Portillo's coming in. Portillo's. Good Lord, Portillo's coming in and. Maybe we'll see another hot dog resurgence. I don't know. I mean, I don't know what it could be the year of.
Yeah. It remains to be seen. 2018 didn't really offer a lot a lot of clues for what I think 2019 is going to do.
And that hasn't been...
We're off the map.
Yeah, we're off the map.
Yeah.
I want to look at... I like to look and see what's happening on the coasts and say like, okay, in 2 to 3 years... And one of the things that's happening on the coast, actually, is more places with like counter service, fast casual, that kind of stuff that require less staffing. So maybe we'll start seeing more of that.
Yeah.
And, the food cart scene does not seem to be slowing down.
No. No, it really does not. And as the food cart judge thing only covers the Capitol Square and Library Mall, and there are plenty of other carts that don't do business on either too. So it's a wild and woolly world of food carts. So there's always room for that too. That's just, I feel like that's a place that we can look to see maybe where some things are going to be going or coming in, Right.
So that's exciting too. Well, thank you. Thank you for the eating work that you do.
It was work.
And the writing work that you do, of course. And have a Happy New Year.
Thanks, Lindsay. You too.
This has been The Corner Table, a podcast about food and drink in Madison, Wisconsin, produced by the Capital Times. Our music was composed by Patrick Christians. We get editing and tech support from our CT podcast guy, Eric Lawrenson. The Corner Table drops every other week, and you can subscribe on iTunes, Stitcher, and SoundCloud. Follow us at Corner Table Podcast on Facebook, and find more food and drink news every day at captimes.com. I am your host, Cap Times food editor Lindsay Christians, and my wish for you this week and this year is champagne, because why the heck not? Happy New Year!